In this section, we will cover the vCloud Air Gateway Service for DHCP. Nothing unfamiliar to all of you, I'm sure. DHCP is a service that actually provides IP addresses to different network devices or applications or servers or whatever else is on a network that's connected to that service. So the gateway service that's available to us in vCloud Air also provides a DHCP service. So without further ado, we're going to move over to the lab to see how one can configure the DHCP capabilities that are there. Not all the options one might want are available, but at least the IP addresses can be provided automatically to virtual machines that are hooked up to those routed networks. So let's take a look over there. So here we are in our familiar vCloud directory interface, because that's where we are able to access the various services. You can see it's the INE course organization, and this is the INE routed network 2 that I created in one of the exercises earlier. The gateway address for that routed network connected to the gateway is 192.168.209.1. Let's examine this network a little bit. So I click on this and then I click on the settings for this. So I'm going to I'm going to look at the properties for this. When we look at the properties, click on network specification, you can see that my gateway address is 192.168.209.1 with a mask of 24 bits, and the primary DNS has been set up here. Now just consider the static IP pool that was set up. So earlier we had set it up as starting at .2 address and ending at .253 address. Now that doesn't leave us much room for DHCP, so what we're going to do is we're going to select that and basically modify that address, right? So we're going to go here and say 192.168.209.2 and we will give it a range of 192.168.209.100, and we are actually going to specify that as the pool, and we will remove the previous one. So now when virtual machines are connected to this network, they will get addresses from 2 up to 100, which leaves us the addresses above .100 available for DHCP, so there is no overlap. So having done that, I click on OK, and we modify the network properties for that network, which is INE routed network 2. So it's working through its activities at this point in time, and it's updating the network as we speak. Now we will go back into, and it's completed with the check mark there. We go into the edge gateway, and now we can actually set up our DHCP service by selecting Edge Gateway Services for that gateway. And DHCP is the very first tab up there. We can enable DHCP, click on Add, and again it's all really straightforward, right? As we know, there are 3 routed networks connected to that gateway. So we are working on INE routed network 2. The IP range or the pool for DHCP that will provide will be 192.168.101 through 101.92. Sorry, .168. .10. This is 101.2 and up to 192.168.101. Now we had made it from 2 to 100, so this becomes 192.168.209.101. Finally, 192.168.209. Let's say 150. So we have a pool of addresses from .101 through .150. You can change the default lease time, the max lease time. I'm going to leave all these things alone. And we click OK, and we just verify the IP range. Yes, this is discontiguous from the static IP pool. It goes up to, so we still have addresses left over from 150 up to 253 if we need it for other purposes. We click add. Sorry, we click OK. We've already clicked add. We click OK so that the gateway configuration then begins. And basically that's how you set up DHCP. So what will happen right now is that if you connect a virtual machine to this network, which is the INE routed network 2, if you specify for that virtual machine a static IP, then it will be picked up from the .2 through .100 range which we set up. If you set it up with DHCP, then DHCP will provide the addresses ranging from .101 through .150, which we just set up. So we have discontiguous ranges, which is exactly what we need. And really that is all there is to this DHCP service that is available to us here. If you go into advanced networking, so again when I say advanced networking, behind vCloud Director, when it looks for edge gateways, you have the option. It's not available on demand, but there are other ways of getting it through the other services, which are the dedicated cloud and the multi-tenanted cloud. You could ask for the NSX version of the service, which is called the advanced networking. And in the newer versions of the NSX version of the gateway, which is what's created when vCloud Director asks for a gateway to be created, that gateway allows us the ability to do a DHCP relay as well, which makes it really very useful, because we can then have a single DHCP server set up, and the DHCP relay relays the DHCP request right over to that singular server that we have running in our environment. So much easier than having every gateway have its own DHCP address and DHCP pool range. However, having said that, it is very simple to use. So as long as one doesn't have too many DHCP pool ranges and too many networks and so on, it's quite easy to set up and to maintain, and obviously is quite useful. So in this case, our gateway had 3 networks, and all we've done is set up DHCP on one of those networks. We have the ability obviously to set up DHCP to our liking with a different range on the other 2 networks that we have in place, which are the INE network and the default routed network. So with this, we are going to end this section on the gateway service for DHCP that's provided in vCloud Air, and the next one is going to deal with the gateway service for firewalling that's provided by vCloud Air.